All right, if you're gearing up for the AP Human Geography exam, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to deconstruct the entire thing. We're giving you the complete blueprint, everything you need to know about its structure, the types of questions, and how it's scored. Let's dive in. So, the very first thing you've got to know is just how perfectly balanced this exam is. Your final score is split exactly down the middle. 50% comes from the multiple choice section, and the other 50% comes from the free response section. Simple as that. It's a straight up, even split. So here's our game plan for this breakdown. We'll start with a quick overview, the exam at a glance. Then we'll really get into the weeds of the multiple choice section. After that, we'll talk about how to master the FRQs, give you a strategic edge, and finally, we'll demystify how the whole thing is scored. All right, let's get into it. The whole thing, start to finish, clocks in at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Think of this as your total game time. And, managing that time well starts with knowing exactly what you're up against. So what's inside that 2 hours and 15 minutes? Well, it's broken down into two fundamental parts. You're going to start with Section I, which is all multiple choice, and then you'll move on to Section 2, the free response questions, what everyone calls the FRQs. Okay, let's talk Section 1. This part is all about speed and precision. You get exactly 60 minutes to answer 60 questions. And yeah, that pacing is no accident. It's 1 minute per question. You got to be efficient and confident. Now, don't think these are all just simple, standalone questions. A pretty big chunk, we're talking 30 to 40% of them, are what we call stimulus-based. That means you'll have to analyze something they give you, like a map or a chart, before you can answer the question. So what kind of stimulus are we talking about here? Well, it breaks down into two main flavors. On one side, you have quantitative stuff. Think hard data, numbers, tables, charts, graphs. On the other side, you get qualitative visuals, things like maps, photos, and infographics. You've got to be ready to interpret both. So what are they really testing with all these questions? While the College Board lists a few different skills, the exam really leans on a couple of big ones. A huge portion of your score is going to come from understanding concepts and processes in analyzing spatial relationships. That is absolutely where you want to focus a lot of your studying. Okay, that's the multiple choice section. Now let's tackle the other half of your score, mastering the free response questions, or FRQs. This is your 75-minute writing challenge where you really get to apply all that geographic knowledge you've learned. The setup here is super clear. You've got 75 minutes to tackle 3 different questions. Each one is scored out of 7 points, which means they're all equally valuable. Time management here is key, so you'll want to shoot for about 25 minutes per question. And there's a really smart design to how these FRQs are set up. They kind of ramp up in complexity. Question 1 is going to be based purely on your knowledge, no stimulus. Then question 2 adds 1 stimulus, like a map or a photo. And question 3 really challenges you by asking you to synthesize information from 2 different stimuli. Okay, so we've got the basic structure down. But now, let's talk strategy. Because knowing the format is one thing, but understanding the unwritten rules, well, that's how you gain a real edge on this exam. This is so important. You absolutely have to pay attention to the task verbs in the questions. The people grading your test are looking for very specific answers. If it asks you to identify, they literally just want you to name it. But if it says explain, you have to give the why or the how. Getting those mixed up is a super easy way to lose points. All right, here's a term you're gonna see a lot, especially with the FRQs. What does it actually mean to do analysis across different geographic scales? This isn't just some fancy buzzword, it's a skill that's at the absolute core of this exam. In the simplest terms, it's all about perspective. It's the ability to see how something is happening at a local level, like in just one city, and then connect that to what's happening at a regional, national, or even a global level. It's about connecting the dots as you zoom in and out. So just how important is this skill? Well, check this out. It's pretty much a guarantee that at least 2 of your 3 free response questions will require you to do this. You absolutely, positively have to be prepared for it. All right, let's pull back the curtain on the last part of this puzzle. You've done on the work, you've taken the test, but how does that actually turn into the score you see on your report? Let's break down how the exam is graded. Okay, this is a really important point, so listen up. The AP exam is what's called criterion referenced. What that means for you is that you are not being graded on a curve. Your performance isn't measured against other students. It's measured against a set standard. Your success is totally in your own hands. The actual calculation is pretty straightforward. First, they tally up your raw points from the multiple choice and the FRQ sections. Then they do some weighting and combine those into a single composite score. And finally, that one number is converted into the final AP score that you'll see. And that's what it all comes down to. All that work, all that studying gets translated onto this simple 1 to 5 scale. This single number is what colleges will see, and it represents your mastery of the entire AP Human Geography curriculum. So there you have it. That's the complete architectural plan for the AP Human Geography exam. We've gone over every section, every question type, and all the scoring details. The blueprint is in your hands. So the real question is, how are you gonna build your score?